Sportsnet is proud to announce that Owen Sound, Ontario will be our host city for Scotia Bank Hockey Day in Canada in 2022, located on beautiful Georgian Bay in southwestern Ontario. Owen Sound has a rich hockey tradition and is home to the OHL's Owen Sound Attack, where Montreal Canadiens star Nick Suzuki played for 3 seasons. All 7 Canadian teams will be in action as we celebrate the game from coast to coast to coast with the 22nd edition of Scotia Bank Hockey Day in Canada.
The interesting thing about Theo's penalty mark is of the 618 minutes, 9 were minors and there were 120 majors in there. So Theo, congratulations. We also want to welcome from a hockey standpoint, and it really fits into Scotiabank's mantra of being inclusive. We want to welcome from the Waterloo Warriors, Dolly Meeks. Dolly, welcome. Dolly came from the Ice Hawks program and has gone off to play U Sport and now coaches U Sport, which is giving back. I saw a game yesterday, St. Mary's Mustangs against the Owen Sound Lady Wolves, and I think you'd be quite proud of what's happened to girls hockey over the last decade or so. So Dolly, I know you're going to enjoy the festival. And finally, is Greg Walters here? All right, so we had 1 absentee. All right, we'll talk to Greg later. We do want to introduce and thank all of our sponsors, but our premier sponsor is here as well. Please welcome from Bruce Power, John Peevers. Scotiabank's saying is that hockey is for everybody, and we have some examples that we would like to introduce here. First of all, representing the Junior Attack program, the U13 team, please welcome Wyatt Fry and Cameron Thomas. Guys? They're off to a big tournament this weekend, and they also represent sort of the cycle in Owen Sound. Warren is certainly well known. Cameron's father is well known for being at Calba Beach, and Andrew, Wyatt's father, has been involved in minor hockey for a lot of years and continues to coach now, so it's a great circle of hockey here. And finally, I would like to introduce from our hockey programs and our youth hockey programs, Sarah Van Drunen, who is known as Sarah Van Shutout, and also Maya Bierns, the captain of the U15 Ice Hawks. Please welcome Sarah and Maya. So hockey touches a lot of bases in the city of Owen Sound, always has and continues today, and I believe always will. To launch our proceedings for Scotiabank Hockey Day, we would like to roll a very quick video just to give you an example and a small sample of what's ahead here in Owen Sound.
For 22 years, we have been celebrating the special bond the Frozen Game has in our lives.
Welcome the nation to this celebration.
We have come together on cold Saturdays from across each coast to share our stories about what the game has brought us.
You look around here today, regardless of the age, people are out here having fun, and that's the way it should be.
Values that kids learn, whether you're a young boy or a young girl, from playing what I think is the greatest sport on earth.
I couldn't imagine living in this country and not playing the game of hockey.
The most important thing is to have fun.
The party is just getting started.
This season, we take the celebration to Owen Sound, a place with a deep connection to the game.
Score down low. The shot, they score! What's a shot go? He scores! Listen to the roar from the Bay Shore.
And a place that has molded phenomenal talent over the years.
Suzuki shoots, he scores! What a move, Nick Suzuki! Blocked by Binnington was Kirkpatrick! A dandy by Binnington!
What was really special about playing junior in Owen Sound is the fact that the community is so vibrant, generations of players and people that have come through there. That is one of the most passionate areas that I've been in at any level for hockey, and they live the game, they love the game. Congrats to Owen Sound for hosting Hockey Day in Canada. Had not for my time there and our time there, I certainly wouldn't be here today, so I'm eternally grateful.
Join us from January 26th to the 29th as we celebrate the game of hockey with Scotiabank Hockey Day in Canada from Owen Sound, Ontario.
Very exciting times coming our way January 26th to the 29th. Again, on behalf of the City of Owen Sound and the hockey community, we'd like to thank Scotiabank for choosing Owen Sound and also Sportsnet for coming to Owen Sound to broadcast that day. At this time, I'd like to introduce the executive producer for NHL Special Events with Sportsnet. Please welcome Joel Darling.
Thanks, Fred. Thank you. Thank you all for coming today. We're excited to be here. It was almost 2 years ago where I called up the mayor and said, hey, I have an idea. Can I come up and talk to you? And it was 2 years ago. So as everybody knows, we were hoping to come here last February, but with the pandemic, obviously our plans have changed. But excited to finally be here really 2 months out. So thanks to the city. They've been fantastic, being patient and being very helpful. So appreciate that. Again, to our partner, Scotia Bank, we could not do that without them. They're a big part of that, so thanks to them. And the organizing committee, who do a lot of work, and I'll point out the folks from Scotia Bank and MKTG and Sportsnet in the city back there, all quiet back there, but they've been busy here for the last couple of days trying to nail down some final details around the event. So it's going to be a great 4-day celebration of the game. It's a great hockey town, and we're proud to be able to show it off to the country on January 29th. I do want to touch on a couple of things. I know Jim and Denise are going to be up here a little bit later, but a couple of things, some key events that I think people will be excited to be a part of and get to. It gets underway on the Wednesday night. We're going to have a draft for the alumni game, and you'll see some people on the ice like Ron. I guess Fred's not playing, but we might get him on skates even with a microphone. But also some other alumni, and it will be a draft that night at Grey Roots, where it'll be a fun night where Team Tucker versus Team McDonald, they'll pick the teams and then they'll play on the Friday night. The concert that night, on Wednesday night, the Music of Hockey Day, we've done this for about 12 years now. It's a really special event. About 400 people, I think, will show up, hopefully. It's really a celebration of the game and hockey. And the unusual thing about this concert is there will be some artists who will be writing songs specifically for that night around the game of hockey. So it really is a one-night show that won't be seen again. And we have a great lineup. So on that lineup on that night, Ron is hosting. Fred will be a part of it as well. I think, Fred, you're a part of everything, aren't you now? It will include Dave Bedini, formerly the Rio Statics, but also the Bedini Band, who will be the house band for the night. Canadian artist M. Greiner, Tara Sloan from Sportsnet will perform. Stephen Stanley from Lowest of the Low. And if anybody was at the Hockey Day event in Scotiabank a few years ago, he's going to perform the song. I'll just tell you the first few lines of it. The song that he performs is, the first line is, I'll give you 14 reasons why Harold Ballard was a bastard. So that'll be something to look forward to. Also, Rob Elder, a local artist, musician here, will be writing a song along with Tyler Beckett, a fiddler. So looking forward to hearing their music. Also, Rock the Sound Choir will be part of it, and Jake Clemens, who toured with the E Street Band and Bruce Springsteen, lives in Montreal now, but he'll be here that night. And we wrap it up with Brian Trottier, who does a great Johnny Cash. So he'll be with us as well. Also, over the next couple of days, there'll be school visits and clinics. A lot of our alumni will be out in the community. One thing I'm excited about this year is the 32 Thoughts podcast with Elliot Friedman and Jeff Merrick. They will be doing a live taping at Hartwood Hall on Thursday afternoon, and then it wraps up with the banquet here on Thursday night. Ken and Ivanka from Sportsnet will host that. Friday, there's a breakfast right in this room, and on this stage will be Andrew Ferentz and the Stanley Cup for a pancake breakfast. And then Friday night will be the Alumni Classic. On Saturday, Ron is going to host from Harrison Park, the Good Cheer Rink, where he will be for the day. And that's where there'll be lots of activities there throughout the day. So again, hopefully a lot of people come out there as Ron kind of tells stories from across the country while all of the 7 Canadian teams are in action that day. A 12-hour broadcast with all the Canadian teams, as I said, in action. And then he'll move over here in the afternoon, late afternoon, 6 o'clock. He'll be broadcasting during the 7 o'clock Eastern games from here with the Guelph and Owen Sound as the backdrop. So just I'll wrap it up with just expected to be on site that day. Obviously, Ron will be here for the event, Cassie Campbell-Pascal, Darcy Tucker, Wendell Clark, Lanny McDonald, Mike Fuda, Andrew Ferentz, Brian Trottier from Owen Sound, Owen Sound's own Ryan Leslie, who you'll hear from in a moment, Ken Reed and Ivanka Osmak, as I mentioned, Jeff Merrick and Elliot Friedman, Tara Sloan. We hope Tim McAuliffe will be doing Tim and Friends from the arena here on the Friday night. And last but not least, the Stanley Cup will be here. So we're looking forward to a great 4 days, and thank you again for everybody for being here and for all the support.
Thank you, Joel, and thank you again to Sportsnet and Scotiabank for choosing Owen Sound. I think I should mention that Joel is a graduate of Ryerson, and I think we all know that all the really good broadcasters are Ryerson grads. Thanks for getting that. Up next, I would like to introduce the Owen Sound branch manager for Scotiabank. Please welcome Rhonda White.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for coming. Thank you, Fred, for the introduction. My name is Rhonda White. I am the branch manager at the Owen Sound Scotiabank. I've spent my entire career at Scotiabank, over 36 years, in fact, and each and every time I come to our local branch, I'm proud of the work we do in our community. From coast to coast, as I am proudly watch our city has grown over that time. I have seen the role of the bank grow within our community. And everyone here knows the important part of Scotiabank's role in the community is through hockey. Hockey is important to us because it connects people, creates lasting memories, and above all, creates experience, and hockey creates community. And for the Owen Sound proud in the room today, we all know how important community is. Since 2008, Scotiabank Community Hockey Sponsorship Program, which runs right in our city of Owen Sound, has sponsored over 1.5 million kids and counting through the involvement of minor hockey, team committees, and across Canada. And recently, the support of hockey has continued to grow in our community through Hockey for All, our new initiative to make the game more inclusive, breaking down culture and financial barriers so more Canadians can enjoy the game we know and love. So when Scotiabank partnered with Hockey Day in Canada 12 years ago, I eagerly watched it travel from coast to coast, from Corner Brook to Swift Current, and many stops in between, and hoping someday we would be able to host Scotiabank Hockey Day in Canada right here in Owen Sound. I am thrilled to be hosting Scotiabank Hockey Day in Canada in Owen Sound. The week will be filled with events for all ages, including hockey clinics for kids, an outdoor festival, Community Hockey Fest, the Scotiabank Hockey Day in Canada Alumni Classic, and the Stanley Cup Parade, to name a few. But Scotiabank Hockey Day in Canada is much more than a game of hockey and the broadcast on January 29th. It's about coming together as a community and celebrating our city. It's about growth, building lifelong relationships, and creating memories. It's about hockey, and it's about community. So thank you for all coming, and I look forward to seeing you in January.
Thank you, Rhonda. How was that? Is that all right? All right. We've got some nervous people in the building here. Rhonda took 4 weeks of media training, and I think it's obviously paid off, and I think, Kevin, she's ready to do Dial-A-Deal tomorrow, so good for you, Rhonda. At this time, I would like to introduce His Worship. Please welcome the Mayor of the City of Owen Sound, Ian Boddy.
Thank you, Fred. It's not nervous, it's pre-game jitters. We're just getting ready. On behalf of the citizens of Owen Sound, I welcome everyone here today and thank our guests from Scotiabank and Sportsnet. We greatly appreciate you choosing Owen Sound as the host for Scotia Hockey Day in Canada. We're excited to showcase our community and tell some of our hockey stories. When I say excited, you just have to look at council all dressed up in their Hockey Day, Scotiabank Hockey Day in Canada jerseys. I don't think they've taken them off in 2 or 3 days. You don't have to go far in Owen Sound to find a little taste of hockey history. Here we are in the Harry Lumley Bayshore Community Center, named after Owen Sound native, 1980 Hockey Hall of Fame inductee Harry Applecheeks Lumley, and of course home of our Owen Sound attack. Many of us were raised from birth on porridge and legendary hockey stories. From the 1924-1927 Memorial Cup champion Owen Sound Greys to the 1951 Owen Sound Mercury's Elm Cup champions, it's pretty impressive, especially the Mercury's, because that's back when there's only 6 NHL teams, 12 AHL teams, senior hockey in Canada was the next best league in the world. Many of those Mercury players went on to raise their families and establish businesses here, and proving the Owen Sound axiom that good athletes make great citizens. They stayed closely involved with hockey, and their love of the sport has passed down through their children and grandchildren and daughter-in-laws, etc. It's not lost in the Owen Sound fans that when the Attack captured the OHL championship in 2011, they wore replica jerseys that season that honored the history and the legacy of that Mercury's team. I could go on and on all day about our history here in Owen Sound. Some people are saying, yeah, just keep going, pal. But my hope is that from January 26 to 29, you will join us in the Scotia Bank Hockey Day in Canada festivities as our community makes more hockey history. Staff and local organizing committee members Fred Wallace, Jim McManaman, and Denise Reed have done a wonderful job working with Scotia Bank and Sportsnet to provide an exclusive and accessible event that highlights our city's rich cultural heritage. We'd like to thank Bruce Power for their support of the event in our community. Like many things over the last half year, or year and a half, I guess, Scotia Bank Hockey Day in Canada will have a slightly different look as we work within the public health regulations and alongside our public health and safety experts to bring an Owen Sound and Grey and Bruce counties and a safe and fun plan for everyone. So many people will benefit from this event. Our local schools, our minor sports organizations, who I see are represented well here today, our cultural groups, and our entire community. I'm thrilled to see the menu for the Scotia Bank Hockey Day in Canada Thursday night banquet has been secured entirely with food produced in Grey and Bruce counties. I'm beyond excited for Scotia Bank Hockey Day in Canada coming here in January 26 to 29 as we welcome visitors and viewers from coast to coast. We can hardly wait. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mayor Ian. That was very good. Certainly better than what Brent said you were going to do, so that's good to see. Am I right, Brent? Oh, you're still leading. All right. Every show has a star, and when it comes to hockey, the star of Hockey Night in Canada, of Hometown Hockey, and the star of Scotiabank Hockey Day in Canada that day will be Ron McLean. So it's a pleasure to introduce our guest today. Please welcome Ron McLean.
Thanks, Fred. You Ryerson guys are insufferable, I have to say. I'm like you, Ron. I have the 4 weeks of training. That's all that was required. You could tell after 33 years, if you know what. So I want to say one quick thing about Sean Dursey scored last night. Andy had an assist, and yeah, it was unbelievable. I was watching Nick Suzuki earlier in the evening, and you know Nick was a big part of the Montreal run last year, and they were frickin' frack here in Owen Sound and again down in Guelph. So it's kind of neat that we have Guelph playing Owen Sound on Scotiabank Hockey Day in Canada, and it's great that we have Waterloo and Windsor playing in the afternoon, Molly. So it's going to be a fantastic celebration. But Sean Dursey had one of the greatest lines I've heard. He was interviewed by Tara Sloan, who, as Joel mentioned, will be singing and also here as part of the festivities. But she was interviewing Sean at the Memorial Cup in Halifax a few years ago, and she said, you know, you've had to struggle, not necessarily always drafted high or drafted at all, and yet you've persevered. How did you do it? And he said, well, I don't try to prove people wrong, Tara. I try to prove the people who believe in me right. And he put a positive spin on it that was just absolutely incredible. And Brian O'Leary and I were discussing some of the, you know, Adam Mayer, who I refereed in a preseason game in Pittsburgh one night. We were doing just a feature for Hockey Night in Canada. So I refereed a game with Steve Wacom, and we had Crosby and Briere and Afinogenov could fly, and John Leclerc, top end speed, could fly, Mark Recchi, jitterbug, fly. But the guy that blew my mind was Adam Mayer. When he got to top end speed, he just steamed down the wall and covered so much ice so fast. It was really impressive. But yeah, so to see what Owen Sound represents on a nightly basis is going to make for easy storytelling. Theo Peckham, honest to God, you know, people would say he doesn't enter the fray, he is the fray. And yeah, you're just so great, Theo. You know, time spent there with the Oilers for me watching you. And, you know, it's funny, we've debated over and over again this year, how come Connor McDavid can't draw a penalty? Theo Peckham would always lead. I mean, he took a lot of penalties, but he drew as many penalties as he took. You had the gift of inciting in such a way as to get people to lose their minds around you. So it's great, Theo, to have you here. And same with Chris Menard. Chris and Mike obviously are such great ambassadors of Owen Sound hockey, and to have now 3 children, 2 boys and a girl, that are fine little hockey players. Chris, it's great that you're here, and Wyatt and Cameron. I remember we did, with Rhonda's help, Rogers Hometown Hockey was here back on the day of one of the great blizzards of all time. Took me 4 hours to get to Shelburne on the show after. But we had Madison Ames and Noah McNabb, 2 kids representing minor hockey, come and do the 3-star selection for us, and just a fantastic touch. So Ballard. You mentioned Mr. Harold Ballard and the 14 reasons he is. You know we are on live right now on Rogers Television. I asked that question before specifically so we wouldn't get in trouble, because I'm in trouble every 4 months. But I will tell you a Harold Ballard story. Fred, you'll appreciate this. I cut my teeth in Calgary, where Ryan Leslie is now the outstanding host of the Calgary Flames broadcasts, and with us in all our national stuff too. But I was a kid, 26 years old I was 24 in 1984 when I got to interview Mr. Ballard, the owner of the Toronto Maple Leafs. And he was a crusty, curmudgeonly guy, and I'd already done 2 broadcasts, one in Washington, one in Detroit, but now I was back in Calgary, and it was the Toronto Maple Leafs at the Calgary Flames, and there was a little tidbit in the Calgary Sun newspaper about a kid from Red Deer hosting me. So there was pressure, not like today with social media, but I still felt a little bit of the crosshairs of scrutiny. And I thought, if I just do a good job interviewing this Mr. Ballard, the owner of the Leafs, I'll be on my way. And it was a 2-minute little interview prior to puck drop before the 3rd period. So they bring in Mr. Ballard, the owner, and he's with Jerry McNamara, was the general manager, and there was about 700 Stellics, Bob and Gord, and all these people involved in the organization. And so they bring Mr. Ballard in, and he sits down beside me, and he's gruff, he isn't saying a word. And I start the interview trying to be a wise guy. And I said, pleased to be joined now by the owner of the Toronto Maple Leafs, Mr. Harold Ballard. Mr. Ballard, it's just great to have you out here in Calgary. Fantastic start for your team, 6-1. And of course, we're all wondering, you're out west, who's running the country? Thank you. But not that night. It was like wind whistling in the tundra. Nobody laughed. The camera crew usually acknowledges when something's funny, and they didn't bite. And I don't know why I was trying to be Henny Youngman, a comedian, but I was trying to be funny, and didn't work. And so Harold Ballard, he pulls a letter out of the breast pocket of his jacket, and he hands it to me. He said, I got a letter I'd like you to read. I said, after my monologue, we're down to like 5 seconds, I said, oh, I'm so sorry, Mr. Ballard, we don't have a whole lot of time, but maybe you could tell us the gist of the letter. He says, well, it's simple, young man. I've written a letter to John Ziegler's the president of the National Hockey League, and they've come up with a cockamamie idea. Marshall Abbott, the guy in Quebec there, they've come up with an idea to have an all-star format, Ronzi's Vooz or something, where they're going to bring all the NHL players and have them play the Russians, and there's no frickin' way I'm letting the Toronto Maple Leafs participate. And I've got little beads of sweat forming on my forehead and behind my ears and everywhere. And I says, well, gee, Mr. Ballard, we don't have time for you to read the letter, but what are your concerns? He says, well, it's very simple, young man. We're bringing a damn communist over here to fill their guns with lead to kill your kids and mine. That's what the hell ticks me off. So that's 1984, Fred, and I'm still going. Anyway, it was one of the all-time traumatic moments in my career. It won't be like that, I know, on ultimately show day on January the 29th. Yeah, just quickly for Brian, who was my mentor when I refereed here and screwed up a knee-on-knee collision. I'll never forget it. And we went to the Blade and Boot or Boot and Blade. Thank you. And then I drove south, after just 2 quick ones after refereeing hockey here. And I got lost at Chatsworth. I took 6 instead of 10. And, traumatic memories of that, too. But it's a great rink, filled with such history, from Danny Snyder to Kirk Maltby to Mark Giordano to the goaltenders. My boyhood hero is Jacques Plante, not Harry Lumley. I'm a little younger than Harry's time, but I loved Plante, who got his 50th shutout on this date, November the 25th. And lastly, you, Fred. They came here in '89, and you've been there lockstep every step. And Ryan's going to talk a little bit about his love of the area because he's from here, and he lived next door to George Thompson, the brother of Tom Thompson, the great painter who inspired the Group of Seven. Last year I gave Dave Bedini, who's hosting our concert, I gave him what is our version of the Lucky Loonie on Scotia Bank Hockey Day in Canada. It's these Group of Seven coins, and they actually do make one for Tom Thompson. Even though he's not Group of Seven, he inspired the Group of Seven. This is a $20 coin that honors the great Tom Thompson, friend of the Leslie family. But this is for you, Fred, as a gift for hosting us and for all you've done to paint the picture right of hockey in Owen Sound. And it's not quite Bitcoin, but we'll do our coin bit. So have a good time. Yeah, we're looking forward to it, Fred.
And I think that's just a sample of what will happen over the course of those 4 days. Ron, thank you very much for being here. I also want to apologize to Ron. You can see we have some empty seats here. We were expecting a bigger crowd for a star like you, but we've had Santa Claus and Heather Hiscox this week, so we're a little burned out. So.
I'm still crying in my beard from the blade and boot, or boot and blade. And it's Dolly. Sorry, Dolly. I thought it was Molly. Yeah. But
just keep in mind you were third behind Santa and Heather, so that's pretty good company in Owen Sound. Finally, we'd like to move along, or not finally, we'd like to move along. Please welcome from the Owen Sound Ownership Group, we'd like to call upon Dr. Bob Severs to please come forward. Dr. Severs.
Oh dear, what an act to follow. Anyway, Ron, just that was wonderful. Anyway, I just have a couple of minutes here. The Attack organization is pleased and honored to be asked to participate in this great event. We're so well supported here by the Grey and Bruce counties area, and we're proud and active supporters of all things Owen Sound, so we feel especially excited to be invited to take part in this. In a few moments, our captain Mark Woolley will speak to you about our team and the Owen Sound community. This special weekend will give the community an opportunity to reconnect with some of our alumni, as you've heard, including Chris Menard, who's here, and Theo. And it'll also give us an opportunity to welcome home Joel Ward, as you heard. Scotia Bank is a strong voice for diversity in hockey. And there are a few Canadian Hockey League teams that have a richer history of diversity than the Owen Sound franchise. In connection with the Scotia Bank Hockey Day in Canada, the Attack will be honoring our alumnus and founding member of the Hockey Diversity Alliance, Joel Ward. Joel played 4 years here in Owen Sound, then he went to UPEI, where he was Rookie of the Year, and he was 3-time MVP there. And he won the R.W. Pugh Fair Play Award, which is the award that recognizes the Canadian university hockey player most sportsmanlike. He's just retired, as you know, after 12 years in the National Hockey League, and he's now an assistant coach with the Vegas AHL affiliate, the Silver Knights in Henderson, Nevada. Joel and I have been going back and forth about this great opportunity for, actually several months now, and the Vegas organization has been so kind and understanding to release him for that period of time for this great celebration. And he will be flying here with his family, Kit and his 2 boys, to take part in the celebration. We hope everybody will join in the celebration and welcome Joel home and welcome our other alumni as well. And thanks very much to Scotia Bank and Sportsnet for this wonderful opportunity. Thanks.
Thank you, Bob. As Bob mentioned, there's a lot of great stories, Owen Sound hockey stories, and one of the best would be probably some 21 years ago. I'm not sure if Bob called Brian Johnson or Brian Johnson called Bob, but there was a phone call, and more or less it got the wheels rolling to keep our franchise here. And Bob, I think I speak for a lot of people when I say that I'm not really